a setup right here. It gave a probabilistic and it gave a probabilistic outcome of continuation to the upside. As we went over, we actually spoke about this one in real time back when it fired off just a few days ago, I do believe. And in this case, the 6-hour time frame is hitting that first targeted region. That was the that was the first target, obviously, which did have a 69% probability. Don't bet against the 69, I guess, is the name of the game. No, of course not. I mean, I do expect we're going to see that, fail over time as well. But in this case, you can see those probabilities kind of playing out in that favor. And it does take time. And that brings me to my first thing is that, when I first posted about this, again, the vast majority of people definitely got it. They were like, yeah, cool. I understand probabilities. They're not certainties, but, it gives a nice sort of direction for what we're looking for here, as well as time, which we actually didn't go over the average time for these to play out because I actually don't have it on hand right now. They're on my other computer, and I need to get to that relatively soon, but not for this video, unfortunately. There were some other people who were like, hey, what the fuck, man? It's been a day. It's been one day. And my targets aren't hit. I want a refund for this free service, by the way. So I guess fair enough. Anyways, yeah, being a 6-hour time frame, these, it's going to take multiple days to play out realistically. And that's just, how the cookie crumbles sometimes, but that's why, these sort of things are set up in the way that they are, and, well, that first target is hit. Anyways, that brings up the next question. Is there a second target for this? Well, on this card right here, yeah, there is. 40,697, spot 87. The probability for that particular target getting met based off of this setup is 56, spot 39. So, definitely less than that first target. Naturally, as it is higher. But seeing as this first one has been kind of hit with, I would say, flying colors, I would say that that second one, probably does have a generally higher probability than that, just based off of, the sort of trajectory that it's approaching it from. But hey, that's just my personal opinion. That's not based off anything, objective, or at least more objective. So, what do I want to say about this? Well, yes, the Meta Signals, you can actually find a link to their Discord in the description below. It's 100% free, and you can actually get these signals for free as well. They are also doing their NFT sale, which they are going to basically offer lifetime access to their whole service for kind of like, what I would consider a good price compared to like what a monthly sub would look like. But ultimately, check out their free stuff, and then you can go from there. It's a project that, again, I've invested in. I'm very biased towards it, so please do understand that. But you've seen several of these signals now in the past couple weeks here, and I would say that so far so good. They're not always gonna be great, but for right now, not bad. All right, sweet. Let's move into the second one right here. So I want to talk about a setup that is going to be based off of the HPDR indicator. So what we just looked at was a 6-hour time frame. That is a relatively lower term time frame compared to a daily, for example. And on this daily time frame, I am looking at a setup here that can really give us some ideas as to what to expect coming into the end of this month of December, as far as like how high could Bitcoin go. As we've gone over in many other videos, December, or this particular December based off of September closing green, does have a higher probability of also continuing with the Green Party. And so far, that's what we've seen actually since December opened 2 days ago. It's been pretty much vertical. But here's the thing. With this particular setup, I want to first explain it, then we'll go over the statistics with it. So first things first, it's an HPDR related setup. We're going to be using the HPDRO and the HPDRV. Not using the bands, no, nothing like that. Obviously, that's not really going to work all that well for, like bigger, longer moves. But the HPDRO representing directional volatility and the HPDRV representing just, the volatility of returns does have a very interesting setup right here. So we noticed, we were looking at on this channel, especially in the past couple weeks here, that volatility represented by the HPDRV was at extreme lows. So I wanted to see what happens when, or what has statistically happened throughout the history of Bitcoin, and we can actually look at the full history of Bitcoin here, when we've seen HPDRV, so volatility at extreme lows, while HPDRO, directional volatility, is essentially having a reset into the positive, or, around the positive region. So I set up a condition where the HPDR needed to be above 0, but less than 10. Actually, I'll go through these through this with you. By the way, you can actually set this up for yourself as well with the Crown Quant skeleton key, or the Crown Quant automation features, what it is called on the app there. We actually lowered the price significantly for the holiday season. It's well, it's maybe worth checking out. You can actually automate your trades and whatnot as well. But first things first, yeah, PMARP take profit level 92, so that's always take profit. But the HPDR volatility, I wanted to see what happens when the moving average is less than 10, so 10%, also extreme lows, and then when the HPDRO moving average is greater than 0 but less than 5. Okay, those are the only conditions. Everything else is literally just stock standard. Actually, I did get rid of the emergency risk stop, but you know, the basic one's good enough in this case. Everything else, again, just stock standard. Nothing crazy here. Just really fucking simplistic as far as the strategy goes. And in this case, it did fire off an entry more recently at about $37,251. So that was actually more than $2,000 ago. And so far, since we've seen that, we've seen a pretty good move, I would say. About almost 6% move. You know, looks good, right? But if we go into the strategy tester, we can see that the statistics surrounding this particular setup throughout the full tested history of Bitcoin do provide something I would think more interesting than that. First things first, out of all of the prior setups, 63.16% did close positively, or did produce a positive return. If we go through the performance summary over here, I can bring you over to, let me actually just get rid of this. Where's my face? There we go. I can bring you over to the average amount of time in winning trades was 38. The average amount of time in losing trades was 22. The average amount of bars just in trade in general was 32. So, you know, about a month. The longer that it goes on, the more likely it is to be a win. And the average return for the winning side was 27.5% almost. And the average return for the losing side was just under 14%. So these are big numbers, very, very big numbers. But it does favor the winning side here, obviously. And if we go back into it, let's just see what would 27.5% look like from that entry given. So that was, again, 37,250 to what is 27% looks like on top of current price action. That put Bitcoin at about 47,000 bucks. I want to at the outset say, sounds like a lot right now. Sounds like a lot to me. I know that is around one of the Fiboswani targets. Again, there's going to be some variance within these results, and one of the limitations of the strategy tester on TradingView, which is what this script runs off of, is that, well, it doesn't show that, although we could actually make it with a list of trades, but then we're just getting like way out into the weeds and have to like do a whole Excel sheet and all that shit, but actually not impossible. But yes, where was I just going that? Yeah, there was some variance with that, but you know, you can start to see that you know, somewhere between like maybe 45 on the lower end or 44,000 on the lower end to as much as like 50,000 or 48,000. You know, is not out of the question with this particular setup. We actually saw one of the ones most recently work out pretty well, I would say, over here from about 26,500, closing at about 33,000 bucks. That was, let's see how great of a move it was, almost 25%. So pretty much in alignment with those stats. I think the setup before that did indeed fail. That was actually coming off of the FTX collapse. Do we have another one? We have another failure over here. We have a win over here. We have a failure over here. Actually, at the end of the 2018 collapse. Big win right there. And then a bunch of big wins coming off of the last cycle, as you can see. So going back to our current setup with this, again, we're looking around about 30 days, give or take, you know, about a week from that. So that basically will take us into the end of December, most likely. Again, we're talking about probabilities. And on the winning side, as much, you know, on average, 27.5%. On the losing side, it was 14%. Let's just see what 14% subtracted from current price action would look like. That put Bitcoin back down about 32,000 bucks. So wouldn't look too hot right there. I do favor the upside, obviously, for many reasons that we've spoken about many times on this channel over the past couple weeks here. I am starting to sound like a fucking blind bull, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be very, very happy when this market turns around, just because being bearish is more fun for me. I don't know why, but it always has been. But it hasn't really been a time to be bearish for, you know, over a year now. And you know, on this channel, we switched over to being bullish in December of last year. Yeah, December, and then full on bullish in January. Like, hey, macro lows are in. So at this point, you know, it's like, it is what it is. And probably more to come, I suspect, at least for this next month. And then after that, we probably do see a pretty big correction. I do think that there will be like a somewhere between a 20 to 35% correction for Bitcoin. Anyways, moving on now, I do want to get into a few other things. So that number around $47,000 is actually a very interesting number because of a couple things. One, we can see that the 786 Fibonacci retracement is coming in around that region, about $48,000. And again, the prior area was 47, based off the average. Again, anywhere around there is completely fine. But we can see some, of confluence coming in around that region. Also, that would be your big bad breakdown region from March. And just realized that my rat face ain't all right there. So hello, I'm back. And that would be, just a nice area for a big pullback if to be met to begin with. On top of that, if we do throw on our HPDR bands, what can we see? Well, on the weekly, the top side of these bands is very fucking high right now. The 5-day time frame, we can see that the 50% of historic returns range high is about $45,000, and I think that would actually be not so bad, not so unreasonable based off of the new setups that we're starting to get over here. Daily time frame, still showing top side of the 50% range, kind of around that next target region for the meta signals over here. But if we do move up to the 80% region, about $44,000. So, really be looking somewhere between like 44 to 47, based upon that end of December. Kind of crazy to say right now, I do understand, but you've seen these things, just slowly march upwards and onwards. Oracle Pro, we already spoke about that yesterday. This chart over here, nothing really unchanged, just the bi-weekly jewel continuing. So, and closing tonight, by the way. So yeah, I'm inclined to say that generally speaking, this rally is ready to resume in December after about basically a full month of consolidation in November. Yeah, things did move, but it didn't really move outside of a range. So I would consider that a consolidation now being resolved on what appears to be a weekend break, which I know a lot of people are going to be very frightful of. But when you have a big consolidation like this, and I want to answer that question that we began at the beginning of this video. When you have a big consolidation like this, and let me actually get rid of this for right now, and I'm talking about this area right here. Boom, this is November. Or, let me get rid of that too. Okay, this is November. This consolidation right here, basically. When you have a big consolidation like that, a lot of the time you will see it break on a weekend gap, or on a gap just in general. In traditional markets, especially when it's like very well defined. And if it opens, like in this case, it's going to open somewhere around here, and it closed over here on Friday, well, that's going to be what I consider a professional gap, meaning that these are designed to really fuck with people, because you obviously can't trade over the weekend if you're a professional trader, and kind of running away from this prior consolidation is like a very legitimate break. And yes, at some point probably does get retested, but not before running first and then maybe doing something like this. And yeah, I do think that generally Bitcoin is probably on the last leg of its current run for a while, and then it will come down like I said, 20 to 35%. It depends how high it gets first, obviously, but let's say it does get somewhere around 47, which again does still kind of sound like a lot. 30% down would put Bitcoin back at $33,000. Just put things into perspective. Still long term, as long as Bitcoin's above 32, I think generally it's pretty fucking good. So, as far as the macro goes. So, I think I'll end things right there. That's basically all that needs to be. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. I want to wish you a nice and happy and healthy Sunday. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully Monday.